You know that feeling when you've got 30 tabs open in your brain? A notebook full of ideas that could change your life. And you're lying in bed scrolling because everything feels too big to start? You're not lazy. You're drowning in possibilities. Your ambition isn't the problem. It's become the paralysis. You see everything you could do and end up doing nothing because your brain's treating every option like a life or death decision. That's not motivation. That's mental quicksand. Here's what's happening. You've got the vision, you've got the hunger, but you're stuck in this loop where thinking about doing something feels almost as good as actually doing it, except it's slowly killing your momentum. I'm going to show you exactly how to break this pattern by narrowing everything down to the one action that actually matters. Not three things. Not a balanced approach. One thing. Let's get into it. The real problem. Your brain is treating everything like it's urgent. You think you're overwhelmed because you have too much to do. Wrong. You're overwhelmed because you're treating every possibility with the same weight. Your brain can't tell the difference between I should start that business, and I should respond to that text, and I should learn Spanish when they're all swirling around at once. They all feel equally urgent and equally impossible, so you freeze. Here's what actually happens. You wake up thinking about your big goal. Then you remember you need to reply to emails. Then you see a post about someone who's killing it. Then you remember that course you bought. Then you think, maybe you should plan better. Your brain's playing whack-a-mole with your attention, and you're losing. Every single possibility becomes an energy vampire because you're holding all of them at once instead of making one decision and letting the rest go. This is why you can spend an entire day being productive and feel like you accomplished nothing. You did 15 small things instead of the one thing that would have actually moved the needle. Your ambition isn't driving you forward. It's spreading you so thin you're basically transparent. Strategy 1. The one thing filter. Here's what you do right now. Take every single thing you think you should do and run it through this question. If I could only do one thing this week and everything else disappeared, what would move me forward the most? Not what sounds impressive. Not what you're supposed to do. What would actually create momentum if it was the only thing you touched? This is brutal. Your brain's going to fight you because it wants to keep all options alive. It'll say, but this is important too, about 17 different things. Ignore that. Your brain's lying to you because it's addicted to the dopamine hit of possibility without the risk of execution. Force yourself to pick one thing. Write it down. Everything else goes on a not now list that you don't look at. Let me show you what this looks like. You want to start a business. You want to get in shape. You want to learn a skill. All great. All impossible to do simultaneously when you're already overwhelmed. Pick one. Say it's the business. Now every action gets measured against this. Does this move the business forward today? Responding to that text? No. Going to the gym? No, not right now. Researching your first potential customer? Yes, that's your filter. Everything else is noise until this has traction. Strategy 2. Kill the planning addiction. You're spending more time planning than executing because planning feels safe. You can organize your goals, color code your calendar, research the perfect strategy, and never risk actually failing at something real. Planning is procrastination wearing a productivity costume, and you're letting it rob you blind. Here's the shift. Give yourself 10 minutes to plan. Then you have to take one physical action. Not more research. Not tweaking your system. Actual execution. If you're starting a business, you don't need a perfect business plan. You need to reach out to one potential customer today. If you're creating content, you don't need the perfect setup. You need to hit record and say something. The planning never feels finished because you're using it as a shield against the discomfort of starting. Your brain will scream at you that you're not ready. That's its job. It wants to protect you from embarrassment and failure, so it'll convince you that more preparation equals better results. That's dead weight. The only thing that creates results is action that you can learn from. You learn more from one failed attempt than from 10 hours of perfect planning. Cut the planning time to nothing and watch what happens when you have to actually move. Strategy 3. Collapse your timeline. You're thinking in timelines that are too long, and it's making everything feel impossible. When you tell yourself, I'll build this over the next year, your brain hears I can start tomorrow. You need to collapse that timeline so hard it forces immediate action, not fake urgency. Real constraints that make procrastination impossible. Here's how. Take your goal and ask, what if I had to show proof of progress in 48 hours? Not completion, proof you actually started. If you're writing a book, that's 500 words written, not outlined. If you're starting a business, that's one conversation with a potential customer, not a logo design. If you're getting in shape, that's one actual workout, not a gym membership. The timeline collapse forces you to strip away everything that isn't essential action. This works because your brain stops debating whether to start. There's no time to debate. You're in execution mode, or you fail the deadline. Try this today. Pick the one thing from strategy 1 and give yourself until tomorrow night to create visible progress. Not perfect progress. Visible. Something you could show another human and say, I did this. Watch how fast the paralysis breaks when there's an actual clock ticking. Strategy 4. Cut the completion fantasy. You're not starting because you're imagining the entire journey and it looks exhausting. You see the finished version. Your brain calculates the gap between here and there and shuts down because the distance feels impossible. Stop trying to see the whole staircase. You only need to see the next step. Take it, then look for the one after that. This is the shift. You're not building a business. You're sending one message today. You're not getting in shape. You're doing 10 push-ups right now. You're not becoming an expert. You're learning one concept this morning. The completion fantasy is what's pinning you to the couch because your brain's already exhausted from imagining the whole journey. Kill that fantasy. The only thing that exists is the next single action. Here's what this looks like in real time. You think about writing. Your brain immediately sees the whole book, the editing, the publishing, the marketing. That's paralyzing. Instead, you say I'm writing one paragraph about the first idea. That's it. You're not committing to anything beyond that. Most of the time, starting the paragraph leads to another one, and you're moving. But even if it doesn't, you still took one step. That's infinitely more than zero, and it breaks the pattern of thinking without doing. The momentum secret? Nobody tells you. Here's the thing about momentum that changes everything. You don't build momentum by doing a lot of different things. You build it by doing the same high-leverage thing repeatedly until it starts working. Every time you switch focus, you reset to zero. Every time you chase a new possibility, you abandon the momentum you were building somewhere else. This is why the ambitious but lazy trap is so vicious. Your ambition keeps showing you new paths, and you keep starting over, mistaking activity for progress. Real momentum comes from saying no to everything except the one thing until that one thing starts generating results. Then, and only then, do you add something else. Not before. Here's what you do today. Stop reading after this and do one thing. Not your whole plan. One action that moves your single highest leverage goal forward. You've got the filter from strategy 1. You've killed the planning addiction from strategy 2. You've collapsed your timeline from strategy 3. You've cut the completion fantasy from strategy 4. Now you just move. The ambitious but lazy paradox dies the second you take that first action. Not because the action is perfect, but because you prove to yourself that starting is possible. You're not lazy, you're just trying to hold too much at once. Drop everything except one thing, and watch how fast the paralysis breaks. That's how ambition becomes momentum. Go do it now.